Hey, everybody, welcome back to Trekyards from Louisville, Kentucky. Hi, everybody. I'm happy to be here too because I wasn't sure we'd be able to do this, but hey, we got it worked out. So,
We never try to let you guys down, so here we are. We are halfway through the season now. My goodness. I'm going to stop asking if lightning struck because when you have so much lightning, it's hard to say it's striking. It's just doing well. Stuart, episode 5, what do you think?
Spock Amok. This was a fun episode, and it was one of the more lighthearted ones. Even the music throughout the thing was very lighthearted. I really enjoyed it. It definitely improved Lon's character for me, as well as number one. It was just a fun episode. It was kind of like a cliched, almost like 80s movie, like body switching, like Freaky Friday or something. But
Unexpected curveball.
yes,
Yeah.
yeah. But other than that, it was good. It was a not serious episode. It was just very nicely done, and I really enjoyed it. So yeah. How about
Which
you?
which is funny because the Orville was very serious, tonally heartbreaking in a sense. It's funny how the universe have shifted. No, I actually quite enjoyed it. I just finished watching it because I watched it all yesterday. I might say this, Stuart, it might be my favourite out of the 5.
Nice, nice.
But because I think as a whole, it works really well. But do you know what I mean? Like it was very clear on tone, on structure. Yeah, I think this feels like they've now learned enough from the first 4. There wasn't many missteps in the first 4. Just yeah, the body swap was weird but good. I think it really is because I'm surprisingly drawn to the love story that it works, I think, so well, and the actors both doing a very good job helps, and there's enough. It's like there is the A plot, there's the second A plot, because intertwined, and there's like the C plot which shifts every scene, but it's sort of all the same thing, just shore leave. But because it shifts so much, it's always sort of interesting. Even though I don't think any one piece of the C plots I'll be that interested in, like Chapel, like Mbenga. But when you have so much variety, it kind of just works as a ensemble side plot. Does that make sense?
Yes, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, it was fun, and everybody had such a good time making this one. I think, and it really showed. As for being a favorite, yeah, I think it's up there for sure. We'll have to see where our scoring goes.
The main then stuff, the Spock and T'Pring, it was the main episode storyline. What do you think, having been the second go round of that?
Yeah, that was my least favorite, honestly. It was still really fun. Like, I love seeing Ethan Peck, A, as a human, and then B, kind of doing the more like, um, kind of like Turnabout Intruder with
Hmm.
Janice Lester and Kirk, but done better. Um, it was really fun, and I get it. It's like a Vulcan mysticism thing, trying to like experience what the other person goes through. I like it. It's a good idea. I just didn't expect to see it in my Star Trek. You know, the Janice Lester thing was because of an alien machine. This was just because like this is something that Vulcans can do apparently. So I thought it
Well,
was weird a little bit.
yeah, it felt very like I say 80s movie trope until at the end they say we did a Kotra swap, and they ground it in Star Trek lore. I wish Spock had said my Kotra. If they had instantly had those words said, I think it would have helped. Because now knowing it all kind of okay, fine. But I think having that early on would have helped to make it feel less random and give us that little bit of Spock logic of what actually happened physically. Because it isn't the same thing to shift bodies. That's a hell of a precedent you're setting that anyone, and half Vulcan as well. And they weren't put back with any great difficulty.
The crystals were a little weird though.
They were. I'm not sure what was going on exactly, but I meant more just obviously that was the sort of the overall plot of them sort of disconnecting, connecting, choosing each other at the end. What do you think of how that was played?
I thought it was done very well actually. Yeah. I had no real complaints about this episode. Wow, one small complaint, but that has to do with Enterprise Bingo. Which have I won? Is this part of the bingo square? I don't
Well,
know.
you got the right silhouette. That's a point.
Oh yes, sweet. No, I think the Spock to Pring stuff was handled very well. I just didn't expect to see it. So when it first happened, I was like, "What? Really? They're doing this?" It felt a little bit like I said, cliche a little bit, but they did it well. I think.
Yeah, I was pleased by the maturity of it and the balancedness of it. They're treating Prin like as much a real character as Uhura or etc., which is really fun. And to see I didn't quite get what she was doing. Her mission was.
I didn't either.
Maybe I missed a
I'm
line, but I guess it was just bringing a guy that's not as Vulcan-y anymore, even though he's on a Federation star base with other Vulcans.
playing chess.
I Yeah. So that was not well constructed particularly, but they couldn't exactly have had. Because I was kind of envisioning that Spock to Pring would have to warp off somewhere and be quite a fun end moment, but he just walks up to them in the garden. It's like, oh, that was. So he kind of played like not a war criminal, but a logic criminal, and it's like, no, just played chess in the Arboretum deck 4. So bit of an anticlimactic ending for that story, but because you get the really nice grounded of the first time we've heard it for this version of this Spock, not so bullied, but looked down upon in the teenage years, which I thought was very well handled and expressed, and in fact then held back by Spock at the end, because he could have gone into more details about his past and how he's had to prove himself, but to then come around, those last moments of, here I'm accepted, there I'm not. You wonder why I choose to be here a bit more, even though I don't mean to choose to be here. It's a more comfortable feeling, because obviously, I thought that was all very nicely handled, and despite having seen that in the JoJo films and in other iterations, it was still it felt like a fresh take on a well-trodden path. I thought that was an impressive feat by itself.
Yeah. Honestly, one of the best things for me about the whole Spock to Pring thing was Pike's reaction to it. Like,
wait, really?
yeah, I can see that. Like, he didn't believe it at first, and it's like, oh, okay, it's very obvious now. And it was just so. It was met with such bemusement, I guess. It wasn't like, why did you do that, or anything like that. It was very well handled, I think.
Well, I mean, if you think about his perspective, just a few days ago we were flying around a black hole. A few days before that, we were dealing with a space virus that made people want to light. These things aren't going to phase people in the same way, and it came across that way. And credit to Anson, he isn't in the show all the time as a big factor, but they did give him almost every point he's in had a meaningful line and a meaningful moment for the actor to portray. So well credit for him to still give him that punch and yet be held in reserve. Although Uhura, she got to look a lot. I wasn't gonna say anything, but got to look a lot. But ensemble, you can't distribute it equally. But at least they're all still there, which they try and keep them all there. Oh, except Hemmer, I guess he wasn't in that episode.
Oh, he wasn't in at all. That's right. But the thing now going back to the thing that I had a little bit of problem with was signing the Scorch. I was like, what the hell is that? The whole episode, and then it's like, oh, the Scorched plating. This is the oldest piece of the ship, and I'm like,
yeah.
It's on the front of the hull of the saucer that was all gouged out because of a huge torpedo impact. I wish it would have been on the back of the saucer.
Or the secondary hull at the bottom next to the Blinky.
Secondary hull, yeah.
Oh, no, you're right.
That I had a little issue with. And
oh, no, Stuart.
I also did like the force field thing, though. At first I thought, tell me they're not wearing like a
holodeck,
a life support belt. Because if I would have saw the life support belt, I would have lost my mind. That would have been awesome. But no, the force field thing was interesting. But
it made me laugh internally, because the idea is that an average person has to hide what they're doing, so they go on a spacewalk in a spacesuit. They're the command rank. They can say, "F it, we're going to put the shields up. We're going to order the bridge to do it." And it was like, "What are you doing?" Like, "Hey, ordered. We've ordered you." So that was fun, because it's such a radical thing to do. Didn't think about the plate. I mean, the only way to take that honestly is either it's old, as in it's 3 months old. Everything else is brand newer, because that's when it was refitted 3 months ago. At least when they were finished. And I discovered, 3 months ago, literally. Or that plate was from a different part of the hull and they moved it during the refit for some reason. But then that's a dumb thing. So I think they forgot that the ship was blown up 3 months ago.
Oh well.
Other than continuity error.
Other than that, it's cool to hear Enterprise Bingo come back, because we had heard about that in a previous episode.
And you couldn't see what the list was, and I was quite sad about that. But the Timothy did actually post the full list, so it is now accessible to the fans. I'll be able to put that up. Okay, so I've got it here, which is very nice of him. It is the complete 10 items from the list below. Don't get caught. 1. Use transporter to reflavor gum. Okay. 2. Phaser stun duel. 3. Turbolift 2 floor shout challenge. 4. Set the universal translator to Andorian. Okay. Gravity boot hang challenge. Okay. Medical transporter challenge Vulcan marsupial. Food Replicator Challenge, Durian Fruit. Sneak a Tribble into Transporter Buffer. Jeez. Sit in the captain's chair. Ooh, ooh. EV Suit Challenge, Unsanctioned Spacewalk, and Sign the Scorch. So that is the top 10, which makes Tribbles double mega canon. They do know what they are, because that means that every ensign on the Enterprise knows what Tribble is, even though they haven't met the Tribbles yet.
Wow, yeah.
So which means Uhura would also know this, because when she gets ensign, she'd do this. So she should know what Tribble is from the... but I mean, they didn't necessarily expect this to be seen.
Ooh, that's a good point.
Because she would have done it as well. She seems that sort of reckless girl. I mean, they are making small little things here and there. It's fine. You are meant to read the list. They just shared it out of niceness. So
the phaser battle was kind of funny, kind of unsafe, but hey, I mean, it is what it is.
Yeah, I think the number one thing lost a lot of steam in the middle because it wasn't really clear what they were doing. They were just sort of doing things, but they didn't make it as much of an epic. Like, they had two fun things and they lost steam instantly. So I think their story was very meandering, which is weird, but it kind of fits their personalities. They aren't used to having fun, so what are they doing? So it fit, but it could have been better, but it wasn't bad, if that makes sense. It was a missed opportunity, I think, to kind of make that set at least more integral to the story, even though it is a funny side story. It's like it was too big a concept for a D story, you know? Small thing.
No, it was fun seeing number one and Lon kind of chill out and have a little bit of fun. I really appreciated that, especially for Lon. Like, it makes me like her character a lot more. So that's good. That's a good thing.
And it helps us actually. They are meant to be the people that know each other almost the most in the entire ship. So, as in for years back, and we finally got to actually need to use the turbolift, cranks to operate it. Finally, at least they have shown it, even if they also ignore it other times.
Well, I think it's just to say the location, and then you can let go of it.
No, sure, but they've done that in previous ones where they haven't had to do that. We've talked about it before.
Yeah.
Both and neither.
And then there's the main plot with I can't remember the alien's name, but with even a solar sailor, it looks like a solar sailor dreadnought. I mean, we've seen the old Joran solar sailor, so it's kind of cool to see that one. And I love that Pike figured out that they kind of choose different people and then kind of mirror their approach to things. I thought that was very interesting as well. And I love when Pike stepped in and to help out T'Pring or Spock, and they're like, "We really respect that," and then they leave. I thought it was an interesting story for sure, and the aliens look kind of cool. So I gotta say, there's a lot there that I liked as well.
Yeah, this is them again strutting their "we can do it better" boots versus Discovery or Picard, because I mean the writing on the diplomatic stuff actually feels like Star Trek. Shock and horror, and it works. Shock and horror, oh my god, as if, there's a reason why Star Trek works. No, and it was great. The alien maker was fantastic, yet small enough. They didn't have to show the big race, they just had to show enough for it to work. It was really good. The mimicking, I think you can kind of sense as you go along that's a theme, so you're kind of like, you're one step ahead of Pike, which is always fun for the audience, but it still plays nicely. And then to have, them deal with T'Pring in the same way that she dealt with Spock, nice logical callback. Made my own pun, oops. And then at the end, then, having it be, well, they're not mirroring, like you say, they are trying to deal with each group because the Federation is different groups. They don't want to be the homogenous group, which is another thing you sort of ignore in the 90s Trek, that have lost identity. Multiculturalism is also good, but you do lose who you are, at least to a certain extent, and how do you either stop that or mitigate that, etc. So having there be that pull to the foreground and say, well, it might not be good for you for these number of reasons. And it's like, well, yeah, because maybe why we associate it as being a good thing in the Federation, but yeah, you instantly become on the Romans say, well, they join the Federation, we can shoot them now. It's really fun to see Pike give that sort of truly other side of the argument, and it be entirely rational and balanced, and that's what Star Trek used to do, was both sides of an argument. It kind of lost that in the new Trek, so good for them for doing that.
And April's reaction to that, like, what are you doing, Chris? Like, what? But yeah, it worked out great. Like, all the pros or the cons essentially of joining the Federation. Yeah, it's a good approach.
Yeah, because normally there's either the planet themselves want to be part of something grander, or there's a tactical reason specifically, or a mineral reason. This is kind of just your space. So I like it. It's here or there, which is fun. And Romulans. I mean, we haven't really heard Romulans properly.
I was going to say that.
It was interesting.
He says they're out there biding their time because they haven't heard from them in quite a while. So I love that. Yeah.
And we got our first Bolian, I believe, in New Trek. I can't remember seeing a Bolian before.
Oh yeah, I guess she was a Boolean, wasn't she?
It looked great, really good makeup, and that means we now canonize Bolians as in from TOS, which I never considered because they're expensive to do. But hey, awesome Bolians. I like a Bolian. And that it was a silly scene, the bad cop good cop thing. I like it, but I think we were a little bit smarter. I don't know how though. Maybe it's because the room was so dull. And something about that scene didn't work as best as it could have, but it was still fun. Yeah, kind of half-baked idea. Like the brownies were out of the oven, but they weren't quite fully done.
I'm gonna have you guys micro scrubbing the transporter pads. What a punishment! That's like in the military cleaning a floor with a toothbrush kind of thing.
Which they did do in Sergeant 6. They did clean it, and it was annoying. And also Lower Deck, Holodeck, and although they said Kyle they didn't like Kyle because he's mean. It's like, oh, is he? Oh.
It's just a side of Kyle we haven't seen yet.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah, which was weird. But I think it was a strong episode. Actually, it was a strong one, and didn't feel its length. It was surprisingly focused on Spock and T'Pring, but also Ethan hasn't really been fully served this season so far. This he really came to the foreground, and he showed a lot of depth. Obviously, he's going to be more emotional when his fiance comes aboard and is pushing him to be more one side, which means he'll react with the other side, and also having his dreams. So it is more emotional than you'd normally play, but she played such a pitch-perfect Vulcan again to kind of counterbalance, and you can see him trying to match her energy and then can't, and then as soon as the facade goes down with Chapel, he then breaks the character almost too much, but it kind of works. Hell of a balance. I'm sure there's lots of different takes in those scenes where they kind of alternate the levels of emotion, and they picked what they did. Felt very careful in execution.
It felt very rom-com, which I like.
More so, but not in an annoying way as well. Somehow they managed to balance, and it was close though. I will admit, because the body swap thing, it could have been too silly, but they managed to find that balance. And speaking of balance, we've ignored it the entire episode. The first scene, a mock time recreated with the music verbatim, with the weapons verbatim. I'm so shocked to hear the music almost entirely intact without the need by a modern Trek producer set to reinvent it. I was shocked how accurate and close it was.
Yeah, it was pretty great. Yeah. No, and like I said, that was when you see Ethan as like a human and fighting his Vulcan self. It was really interestingly done for sure. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it's rare you can literally show your future scenes, but because he knows what the ritual is, he knows where it's staged, it worked thematically, and that was quite brave of them to go full TOS scene, and yet that was fun.
And even got his shirt cut just like Kirk. Yeah.
No, it was good episode.
So guys, comment down below what you thought about this episode, and by all means join Samuel later for the live. I unfortunately won't be able to be there, but
he's living life,
I might make a guest appearance. You never know. So tune into the live if you're able to, and comment down below, like the video, subscribe to the channel, do all the things you guys need to do so you can join us on a regular basis and help us out.
Like with Patreon monthly, PayPal one time, trekyards@hotmail.com, or super chatting down below, or super thanking, which some of you guys did do for the Orville episode yesterday, and that really helped. Really did. So thank you in advance. Yep, exactly. Or just super chat, like Stuart said in the lives. We love the intercommunication and putting your 2 cents, or well, your figurative 2 cents, hopefully your $2 or more, thoughts about a thing, and often can drive a big long conversation. And when we've finished our discussion, you guys can throw these amazing curveballs and make a new discussion. So we love that, and we thank you in advance.
That's right. So until next time, he's Commander Cocky.
He's Captain Foley.
From Louisville, Kentucky. Wonderfest, everybody. Woo!
Bye, guys.
Bye, everybody.